Alright, so let's talk about what's arguably the worst Final Destination out of all five. The Final Destination, which I have no idea why it's called The Final Destination because we got Final Destination 5 after this, but The Final Destination is one of those sequels where it's I could consider it a bad movie, but I think it's still cheesy fun, but it doesn't have any characters that are interesting or likable like the last one, or the last three, the first three. This one, really, in terms of like the acting, like I don't think I blame the actors. I think I blame the script and the writing because this movie is like the other ones, like quality wise in terms of that, but like these characters act in a way where they just don't seem like enthusiastic. Like I was saying in the last video for the third one, like Mary Elizabeth Winstead, despite the writing, like she did such a fantastic job in this performance. She really sold this performance. Like she really was someone who seemed so genuine in her performance. And in this one, all the actors in this did not seem genuine. And I'm not blaming the actors as in quality of their acting. I'm just blaming them on it's just how it's written. And I think that they just probably were like they probably saw the other movies and thought to be like that, but it took away the charm that the other ones had. The other three had charm with these characters, the main characters especially. The main characters in this one are really forgettable, and they don't have anything like they don't seem any different than in the other ones. And you can argue every one of these main characters in each movie is the same. But I felt like the acting wise performances, the first three, each main character brought something, but this they didn't in this one, and it's sad because I don't think these actors probably were bad actors and everything. It's just like they just had lousy writing, and this is one of the movies where, like in a franchise, where they stopped trying. They really did. This one, for example, there are so like all the deaths in these movies are really fun and interesting, and these have fun ones, but they're so cheap and so dumb. Like for example, in the race car track premonition, and the race car track, that's a dumb place to have a premonition and die in, but they did it. But the race car track premonition, there's a death where the mom character with those two kids, she gets trampled over, and then she's just sitting there in the stands, and then a freaking engine just runs, like flies in the air and just hits her right in the chest and just kills her there. That's so cheap and so there's not any thought put into that. That's so dumb. Like there are so many great deaths that are elaborated and planned on in all these movies, except for this one. This one I felt like almost every death was so cheap and so lame. Um, and whenever that woman has the real death in the movie, like later, whenever she's at the hair place and she walks out and she says, "I got my eye on you" to her kids, and then she walks over and a guy who's mowing runs over a rock. It hits her right in the eye and kills her. And it's dumb because there's no thought put into it. It didn't feel like, and before that death happened, there's things that like in all these movies do, or like, oh, it looks like this is gonna happen, but this is gonna happen, but it felt cheap like that too. It just didn't feel like they did a good job at all with these deaths and the idea of planning them. Like they were just really dumb in this one, especially in contrast to the first three. And like I said, the characters are so uninteresting. Like the main character, Nick, he looks and like he's basically a duplicate copy of Alex from the first one. Like he literally is just that. There's nothing else to him. I felt like the other two girls in the last two films both had different things about them that made them seem different, but this guy seems just like Alex from the first one. He doesn't have anything different to him at all. And the dumb thing about this movie too is that um, like in the third movie, there was the premonition at the end that you see again, like you see in the beginning, where there's one premonition of the roller coaster, and then the end there's the train premonition, um, and then it doesn't. Then she wakes up from it, and then it happens, and that's really short. But in this one, we get a second premonition at the end of the movie. That's literally like 10, 15 minutes long, where everybody dies, and then he wakes up and you realize it's a premonition, and I bet they were thinking this will be a good twist, but whenever it happens, I was just like, man, that's so dumb that like they have two premonitions, but this one was so long. It was like 15 minutes long, and then it was so quick and cheap how they made him run back into the mall, do that thing where like he saves everybody, but like it was so long of a premonition that it made it seem so cheap on the movie's part, because the movie I think might be the shortest one out of all of them, and you can tell because it feels like there's nothing they tried. There was nothing really different that they tried. And there's only one line where I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, but then I'm like, well, it's dumb too. Where like at the very end, after Nick saves everybody at the mall from the mall exploding, the theater exploding, they're at that death by caffeine place, which again is a stupid herring in this movie. Why is it called death by caffeine? That coffee shop, that's retarded. That's really stupid. Really. But Nick saves everybody. He, Lori, and Janet are there. And then he realizes, and he says this line, which I thought was a good line read for him. But he says like, what if nothing changed? What if we were just supposed to be here? And they die. And I thought that was cheap, but it was a great line as well. Like whenever he said that, like, what if we were never meant to, like, what if everything was meant to lead to here? What if we were supposed to die here? Like we never got out of anything. And I did. That's the only thing I did like about this movie in terms of it wasn't original, but because they always in all these movies they always die at the end and die in a way they were supposed to die, and he just said it. But I liked his line read for it, I guess you could say. Like I thought that was kind of cool, but it was lame at the same time. So that's it. That's how I could sum this movie up. It's dumb and lame, but it's watchable. Like it's a watchable mess. Like it's not like I'm not even saying the Final Destination movies, any of them are like high quality masterpieces, but I think they're all entertaining. And this one isn't as entertaining, but it's still watchable. It just got a lot of lame moments that really irked me. Like for example, like whenever I said like they're at a coffee shop called Death by Caffeine, that's really stupid. Why? That just seems like the dumbest thing to have in this movie. Because it's so on the nose. You know it's about death in this movie. Why do you have a coffee shop named that? And then like whenever the racist guy gets hooked on that hook and is driven and is dragged down the street and it catches on fire, but while it's doing that, the song "Why Can't We Be Friends" is playing, and that's so cheesy and so dumb, and it just takes away all of the suspense, and it's just dumb anyways. Or like I said earlier, whenever the mom says "I got my eye on you," and then she gets hit in the eye with a rock, like it's so dumb because it's so on the nose. It makes it way more over the top in this one than the other ones. And there are other moments in the other movies, like in the first movie, before the premonition happens, the dad says, "You got your whole life ahead of you," and then Alex looks at him like he's got like something's wrong. Like it's in every movie where like they have these herrings like to something happening, but I thought they were extremely on the nose on this one. It was just so dumb, and I don't know. Like I thought that this movie didn't do anything different. It didn't have any great performances, but it's a fun train wreck to watch. It's fun to watch without really saying. I can't really say why. It's just entertaining, even though it's not good entertaining, like the last three is what I really could say. It's not good entertaining, but this one as a whole is definitely the weakest for me, and a lot of people thought that. A lot of people did despise this movie, and I don't despise it. I think that it's just something that's dumb, but I can watch, and it's just not entertaining in a good way, or in a great way. It's entertaining it's fine, entertaining, but it's not like amazingly entertaining. It's just not. It's something that's dumb, but I can watch it because it's so interestingly dumb. If that makes sense. But overall, this one is definitely the weakest one, and I'm so glad we got the fifth one because I'm glad this is not the final one. If this is the Final Destination, it would have been really, really stupid. But we thankfully got the fifth one, which we're talking about next, so see you guys there. Thanks for watching.